For over 1,000 years, the galaxy lived in silence. Not peace, but silence born of fear. The Sci-fi ascendancy ruled most of the known systems. A powerful alien empire, the Sci-fi crushed any voice that rose against them. Planets burned, cities vanished, and millions were enslaved. No species could stand up to them. Most didn't even try. The lesson was simple: obey or disappear. In this dark galaxy, hope was just a memory. Then one day, a Zephyr fleet arrived at a small blue world at the edge of the stars, Kalis 3. It was not a powerful planet. No warships guarded it. No armies waited on the ground. It was a quiet human colony with farmers, builders, and teachers. The Sci-fi expected no resistance. They were wrong. Commander Zarek Valdar, leader of the Sci-fi fleet, watched from orbit. His warship hovered above the surface like a shadow. No defenses. Weak signal strength, primitive systems, his officers reported. Zarek smiled. Take the capital. Send a message to the humans. Troops landed. Giant walkers marched across the fields. Drones flew overhead, scanning the colony's buildings. But inside those buildings, the humans were already moving. They weren't soldiers. Not officially. But they were ready. Engineers turned construction bots into mobile traps. Mechanics placed EMP bombs beneath the roads. Children helped carry food and supplies underground. Every citizen had a role. They had no choice, because they knew this was not just an invasion. It was an extermination. Lena Rowe, a former space pilot turned teacher, led the resistance. She was calm, focused, and smart. She had fought pirates before, but never anything like the Sci-fi. She stood in an old command post built into a mountain. A hologram of Kalis 3's surface glowed in front of her. They're targeting the water station, her scout reported, 20 minutes before they reach it. Lena nodded. Then we hit them in 15. She gave the order. And that's when everything changed. The first strike was simple. A mining drone launched into the sky and detonated above a Sci-fi transport ship. The blast knocked it from the air. Then came the ground traps. As Sci-fi walkers marched into a valley, the earth exploded beneath them. Some machines fell, others stopped, confused. Then came the silence. The Sci-fi regrouped, but it was already too late. From space, Commander Zarek watched in disbelief. His troops were not just delayed, they were being outsmarted. "Who are these people?" he muttered. Another officer spoke up. "Sir, we lost contact with Strike Group 7. Their signal is gone." Gone. Just like that. Hours later, the humans broadcasted a message into open space. Every Sci-fi ship, every outpost, every listening station heard it. Lena's voice was calm, but firm. "We are the people of Kalis 3. You came here thinking we would kneel. You were wrong. We are human. We don't bow, we don't break. We build. We fight. And if you want this world, you'll have to bleed for it." The galaxy heard those words, and something strange happened. For the first time in generations, people felt hope. Far across the stars, on slave worlds and conquered stations, different species whispered to each other. "Did you hear the humans spoke back? They attacked a Zephyr ship and survived. Maybe they are not like the others." And slowly, across the galaxy, eyes turned toward Earth's children. The Zephyr responded quickly. They sent more ships, more troops. They surrounded Kalis 3 and began full bombardment, but the humans had vanished into bunkers and mountains. They fought like shadows, appearing in one place, striking and disappearing. They didn't try to win. They just refused to lose. They weren't the most powerful, but they were the most dangerous, because they had something no other species had shown in a long time: the will to fight back. Meanwhile, on a hidden moon near the border of Sci-fi space, a human vessel named the UHS Resolute Vow picked up Lena's message. Commander Alara Mendez, leader of a special Terran defense group, listened in silence. She looked at the hologram of Kalis 3 and smiled. "They didn't wait for help," she said to her crew. "They became their own army." Her second in command, a tall man with scars across his face, nodded. Permission to send reinforcements? Alara shook her head. Not yet. Not until we know where to hit them hardest. Then she stood. But mark my words, she said, her voice sharp and sure. The Zifar thought we were scattered, forgotten, weak. They thought we wouldn't respond. They were wrong. And so it began. A single colony, a single stand, a single message sent across the stars. The galaxy lived in fear, until humanity responded. And what came next would shake the stars. The galaxy had never seen anything like the humans from Kalis 3. The Zephyr ascendancy, used to total control, was shocked. They had expected the humans to surrender. Instead, the humans fought back. Commander Zarek Valdar sat in his warship's command room, staring at the damaged wreckage of his flagship. It had been crippled by a surprise attack. How did they do this? He asked his officers. One of them answered quietly. They used old mining ships, loaded with heavy rods. They dropped them from orbit. The rods pierced our shields and exploded inside. It was a precision strike. Zarek frowned. Only humans would think to use such a simple but deadly weapon. The humans were clever and fearless. They did not have the technology of the Zephyr or their giant warships, but they had something more dangerous: creativity and courage. After the attack on Kalis 3, the humans did not stop. Led by Commander Lena Rowe, they organized small, fast groups to strike the Zephyr supply lines. They used old freighters disguised as cargo ships to slip past enemy sensors. They sabotaged fuel stations, destroyed communication arrays, and freed prisoners captured by the Zephyr. News of these attacks spread quickly. On many worlds controlled by the Zephyr, slaves and oppressed people whispered in secret. The humans were no longer just a small colony. They were a symbol of resistance. In the dark corners of the galaxy, the Zephyr leaders grew nervous. They had not faced a rebellion like this in centuries. They ordered all ships to search for the humans and crush them completely. But the humans had a secret ally. A former Zephyr officer named Velek had fled the Ascendancy after refusing to follow orders to destroy peaceful planets. He believed the Zephyr rule was cruel and unjust. Velek found the humans and offered his knowledge of Zephyr tactics and secrets. Commander Alara Mendez, who led the UHS Resolute Vow, welcomed Velek's help, but stayed cautious. She knew trusting a defector was dangerous, but his information was valuable. Velek explained the weaknesses in Zephyr defense and the divisions in their leadership. The Ascendancy is not as strong as it seems, he said. Many commanders are afraid to speak against the Supreme Leader. The Empire is cracking. Alara planned a bold move. She gathered a small fleet of human and allied ships and set course for a vital Zephyr supply hub, Orion Station. The station was the center of Zephyr logistics in this region. Destroying it would cut their supplies and slow down their attacks on human worlds. Lena Rowe joined the mission. She knew the fight would be dangerous but necessary. We must show the galaxy that humans are not just survivors, Lena said. We are fighters. The fleet approached Orion Station quietly, hiding behind asteroid fields. The humans used fast stealth ships to sneak inside. At the same time, Lena led a ground team to disable the station's defenses. The battle was fierce. Zephyr soldiers fought with heavy armor and advanced weapons, but the humans used their speed and teamwork to outmaneuver them. They planted explosives on fuel tanks and communication towers. After hours of fighting, the station exploded in a massive fireball, lighting up the dark space. The Zephyr fleet was thrown into chaos. Their supply lines were cut. Their ships became stranded. The victory at Orion Station was a turning point. Messages of human courage and success spread across the galaxy. Many oppressed species began to believe that freedom was possible, but the Zephyr were furious. They sent their strongest fleet to hunt down the humans and crush their rebellion. The battle moved to space above Kalis 3. It was a fight for survival. Humans were outnumbered and outgunned, but they refused to give up. Lena's tactics and Alara's leadership kept them alive. The humans fought not just for their home, but for every species suffering under Sci-fi rule. In the heat of battle, the humans showed something no one expected: unity. Humans and their allies worked together. The Varn miners used their knowledge of the asteroid fields to ambush Zephyr ships. The Thalos navigators guided the fleet through dangerous space storms. Even Velik risked his life to save human ships from Zephyr traps. This unity gave the humans an edge. They fought with hope and determination. After days of battle, the Zephyr fleet retreated. They suffered heavy losses and realized the humans were more than a nuisance. Commander Zarek Valdar sent a message to the Supreme Leader. The humans are dangerous. We must destroy them before their rebellion spreads. But others in the Zephyr leadership were beginning to question their endless war. Some saw the humans' courage and wondered if peace was possible. Back on Kalis 3, Lena stood among her people. The colony was scarred by battle but alive. Children played among the ruins. Farmers worked in fields once again. Lena looked to the stars. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The galaxy will know what humanity is." As news of human defiance spread, the galaxy changed. No longer was humanity seen as weak or forgotten. They were the ones who bit back. The victory at Orion Station had shaken the Zephyr ascendancy more than they wanted to admit. The humans from Kalis 3 were no longer just a small group fighting for survival. They had become a symbol of hope for many. Commander Alara Mendez stood on the bridge of the UHS Resolute Vow, watching the stars. Her crew was busy repairing their ships and preparing for the next mission. The war was far from over, but for the first time, Alara felt a spark of confidence. "We have allies now," she told her second-in-command, Lieutenant Harper. "The Varn and Thalos are ready to fight beside us." Harper nodded. "And don't forget Velik. His knowledge of Zephyr tactics has been a game-changer." Alara smiled. "True, but we can't rely on that forever. We have to keep pushing. Forward." Across the galaxy, the news of human success spread fast. On many worlds, oppressed species listened carefully. The humans had shown them that the mighty Zephyr could be beaten. One such species was the Dranil, a race of swift, bird-like beings who lived on the jungle planet Veratus. The Dranil had been slaves to the Zephyr for centuries, forced to mine rare minerals deep in dangerous caves. When they heard the stories of humans fighting back, a group of Dranil rebels contacted Alara's fleet. They offered ships, fighters, and information. Alara was cautious but welcomed the help. "Every ally counts," she said. Meanwhile, the Zephyr Supreme Leader, Kraxthar, watched the growing rebellion with anger. "These humans are becoming a threat," he growled during a council meeting. His generals bowed but whispered among themselves. The war was draining resources. More and more systems were turning against the ascendancy. Kraxthar decided to send his most feared general, Zalkar, to crush the rebellion once and for all. Zalkar was known for his ruthless tactics and had never failed a mission. Back with the humans, Lena Rowe was preparing the Kalis 3 colony for a new wave of attacks. The planet's surface was scarred from previous battles, but its people had grown stronger. "We will not run," Lena said to the council. "Our enemies think we will break, but we are made for this fight." Her words inspired hope and courage. The next battle was not just in space. Zalkar's forces landed on Kalis 3, bringing heavy weapons and large armies. The humans had to defend every town, every road, every home. Lena led small teams of fighters using guerrilla tactics. They struck fast and disappeared into forests and mountains. They sabotaged enemy vehicles and supply lines. It was a long and hard fight, but human determination was strong. They would rather die than live as slaves. In space, the Resolute Vow and its allies prepared for a major battle. Zalkar's fleet was large and powerful, with massive warships that could destroy entire cities. Alara and her commanders planned carefully. They knew they could not win by strength alone. They needed strategy, speed, and surprise. The day of battle came. Stars burned with laser fire and explosions. Ships twisted and turned in deadly dances. The humans and their allies fought with everything they had. During the fight, Velik used his knowledge to trick the Sci-fi ships into traps. The Varn and Dranil ships moved through asteroid fields, hitting the enemy from unexpected directions. The battle was long and brutal. Many ships were lost on both sides, but slowly, the humans gained ground. On the surface of Kalis 3, Lena received a message from Alara. The fleet is holding, but they need reinforcements. Lena gathered every able-bodied person, even those too young or old for battle. They built weapons, repaired vehicles, and prepared defenses. At the climax of the battle, Zalkar himself boarded a human ship during a boarding fight. He was surprised to find fierce resistance. Lena and her team fought him with skill and bravery. Though Zalkar was strong, the humans had something he did not: hope and unity. He was forced to retreat, and the Zephyr fleet began to fall back. After the battle, the humans celebrated their victory but knew the war was not over. Alara said, "This fight has shown the galaxy that humans will not be broken. The Ascendancy may have power, but we have will." Lena added, "And that will is stronger than any weapon." As word of human courage spread, more species joined the fight. The rebellion was becoming a movement. The galaxy was waking up from its long nightmare. The victory against General Zalkar's fleet had been a turning point, but the war was far from over. The Zephyr Ascendancy still ruled much of the galaxy with an iron grip. Yet, cracks had begun to form in their empire, and hope burned brighter among the oppressed. Commander Alara Mendez stood on the bridge of the UHS Resolute Vow, looking at the glowing star map before her. Systems that had once been silent under Zephyr control now showed flickers of rebellion. The fleet had grown, fueled by new allies who believed in freedom. "We have to strike where it hurts most," Alara said to her officers. "The Zephyrs' power lies in their prisons, worlds where they keep millions of slaves. Freeing them could change everything." One such prison world was Zalthar, a barren planet covered with metal fortresses and guarded by thousands of Zephyr troops. It was a place of suffering, where captured beings from many species were forced into labor and despair. Lena Rowe, now a respected leader of the rebellion, volunteered to lead the mission. "We cannot fight for freedom without freeing the enslaved," she told Alara. "Zalthar must fall," Alara agreed. "It will be dangerous, but it is the right thing to do." The fleet prepared carefully. Stealth ships approached Zalthar under the cover of darkness, while human commandos trained for the ground assault. Allies from many species joined the mission, each with their own reasons to fight. As the ships neared the planet, Velik warned, "The Zephyr have new weapons, energy barriers, and automated defenses. We must be careful." Alara nodded. "Then we will be smarter." The attack began with precise strikes on the planet's outer defenses. Human pilots flew close to the surface, dodging fire to destroy communication towers and shield generators. This opened a small window for the commandos to land. Lena led her team through narrow canyons and rocky terrain, avoiding patrols. They moved quickly, knowing the element of surprise was their greatest weapon. Inside the prison complexes, the prisoners lived in fear, but still held on to hope. When Lena's team burst in, alarms blared, but the prisoners cheered. "We are here to free you," Lena said. "You are not alone." The battle inside the prison was fierce. Zephyr soldiers fought to keep control, but they were unprepared for the humans and their allies. The prisoners, many armed with makeshift weapons, joined the fight. As explosions rocked the compound, energy barriers began to fail. One by one, cells opened, and captives poured into the corridors. Lena moved through the chaos, helping the wounded and encouraging the freed prisoners. "Keep moving. Freedom is just ahead." Outside, the fleet faced Zephyr reinforcements rushing to the planet. Human and allied ships formed a shield around Zalthar, fighting off attackers with skill and determination. Commander Alara coordinated the defense, directing fighters to intercept enemy ships and protect the transports evacuating the freed slaves. The skies burned with fire and light as the battle raged. On the ground, Lena's team fought their way to the central control tower. They planted explosives to destroy the prison's core systems, ensuring the Ziffer could not quickly retake control. The countdown began. With seconds left, the team raced to escape the explosion. The ground shook as the prison was engulfed in fire. Freed from chains, the former prisoners looked to Lena and her team with gratitude and hope. Many vowed to join the rebellion. "This is just the start," Lena said. "Together, we will break every chain." The victory at Zalthar sent shockwaves across the galaxy. News spread that the humans and their allies were freeing the enslaved. It inspired rebellions on other worlds and challenged the Ziffars. Image of invincibility. In the Zephyr capital, Supreme Leader Kraxthar's anger grew. "This rebellion will be crushed," he roared. "Send the entire fleet to Zalthar and destroy the rebels." But his generals hesitated. The rebellion was spreading too fast. Some began to question if endless war was the answer. Back on Kalis 3, Lena met with Alara and other leaders. They planned the next moves carefully. "We cannot win by fighting alone," Alara said. "We must unite all free species to stand against the Zephyr." Lena agreed. "The galaxy must see that freedom is possible. We fight not just for ourselves, but for everyone." In quiet moments between battles, Lena thought about Earth and its history. Humanity had survived many dark times, wars, disasters, and challenges. Yet they had always risen again. Now, far from home, humanity's story was being written among the stars. The galaxy was changing. Fear was no longer the ruler. Hope and courage were lighting the way. The humans were not just survivors. They were the spark that could start a revolution. The rebellion had grown into a powerful movement. Across the galaxy, systems were breaking free from Zephyr control. Yet the Ascendancy's wrath turned toward a new and unexpected target, the birthplace of humanity itself, Earth. Commander Alara. Mendez stood on the bridge of the UHS Resolute Vow, watching the fleet approach the solar system. It was a grim moment. For centuries, Earth had been hidden, protected by old treaties and human technology. But now the Zephyr knew where it was. They believed destroying Earth would crush the human spirit and end the rebellion. Ilara's voice was steady. "We must defend Earth at all costs. If the Ascendancy wins here, the rebellion will fall apart." Back on Earth, the cities were bustling. People lived unaware of the approaching danger. But in secret, Earth's defense forces had been preparing for years. Humanity's leaders worked closely with Alara and her fleet, readying for the worst. Lena, Ro, now a hero across the galaxy, was on Earth for the first time in many years. She stood on the cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean, thinking about everything that had happened. "This is where it all began," she whispered. "And this is where it must be defended." The Zephyr fleet arrived with a terrifying display of power. Huge warships blocked out stars as they entered orbit. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. But the humans and their allies were ready. Earth's defense stations activated powerful shields. Fighter squadrons launched from hidden bases. The sky lit up with lasers, missiles, and explosions. In space, Alara coordinated the defense. "Keep the fleet tight. Protect the planet's shields. Focus on their warships' weak points." The battle was fierce. Zephyr ships fired relentlessly. Human and allied pilots dodged and counterattacked with skill and courage. On the surface, Lena led a team to protect a vital energy station powering Earth's shields. Zephyr ground forces had landed, trying to destroy it. The fight was brutal. Humans and alien allies fought side by side. They used every weapon and tactic they had, learned during the war. Amid the chaos, a Zephyr warlord named Vorka emerged. He was a fierce warrior with a personal grudge against humanity. Vorka led a strike force against Lena's team. The two forces clashed in the ruins of a city. The battle was close and desperate. Lena faced Vorka, her weapon raised. "You will not destroy Earth," she said. Vorka snarled. "Then die." But Lena was not alone. Her team and the people of Earth fought with everything they had. Using clever tactics and teamwork, they forced Vorka to retreat. Meanwhile, in space, the turning point came when Alara's fleet executed a daring plan. Using stealth ships and the knowledge provided by Valek, they infiltrated the Sci-fi flagship. Inside, a fierce battle raged. Human soldiers fought Sci-fi guards in narrow corridors. The ship shook with explosions. Ilara led the charge. "We take their command ship. We cut their fleet's heart." After hours of fighting, the humans succeeded. The Sci-fi flagship was crippled, and its command crew captured. With their flagship lost, the Ziffer fleet faltered. The humans and their allies pressed their advantage. Slowly, the battle shifted. When the last Ziffer ship retreated, the humans cheered. Earth was safe. For now, Ilara looked at the stars. "This victory is just the beginning. The Ascendancy will not give up," Lena added, "but neither will we." Across the galaxy, news of Earth's defense spread like wildfire. It became a symbol of hope and resistance. Species long oppressed saw that even the greatest powers could be challenged. The war was far from over. But humanity and its allies had proven one thing: they would never bow. They would never break. The battle for Earth had ended, but the war was far from over. The Ziffer Ascendancy was wounded, their mighty fleet shattered, but their will to dominate still burned fiercely. Commander Ilara Mendez stood on the bridge of the UHS Resolute Vow, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had become a symbol, a beacon for all who dreamed of freedom. "We have struck a blow to the Ascendancy," she said to her officers. "But we must be ready. The war will continue until the Zyphar are no more." Across the galaxy, the freed slaves and rebel species celebrated the victory. On worlds once ruled by fear, communities began to rebuild. They sent messages of support and joined the growing alliance led by humanity. Lena Rowe, standing on a terrace overlooking the city of New Earth, spoke to a crowd of many species. "This is not a victory for humans alone," she said. "It is a victory for all who choose freedom." Her words inspired hope. The galaxy had awakened. The leaders of the rebellion called a great council on the space station Harmony, located in neutral space. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss the future. Ilara and Lena represented humanity. Valek, the former Zyphar officer, sat quietly, listening to the discussions. The question was clear: what would replace the Ascendancy? Many voices spoke of revenge, others of rebuilding empires, but Ilara raised her hand, quieting the room. "We must not become what we fight against," she said. "The Ascendancy was broken because it ruled through fear and force. We need a new way." Lena added, "We propose a council of free peoples. No one rules another. Each species governs itself but works together for peace and prosperity." The idea was new and hopeful. It would not be easy, but it was a start. While the council debated, the Zyphar Supreme Leader Kraxthar retreated to his capital. His empire was crumbling, and his forces scattered, but he was not ready to surrender. In secret, he gathered loyal followers for a final strike to reclaim his power. Back with the rebels, news arrived of Kraxthar's plan. Ilara and Lena prepared to face the last battle. "We fight not just for ourselves," Lena said. "We fight for the future of the galaxy." The rebel fleets gathered, united and strong. The final battle took place near the Sirius system, a strategic point in the galaxy. Zyphar warships clashed with the rebel fleet in a massive, chaotic fight. Ships exploded. Lasers burned through space and fighters darted between the giants. The rebels fought with everything they had. Ilara led the fleet, coordinating attacks and defenses. Lena commanded ground forces on captured worlds nearby, keeping Ziffer troops from regrouping. During the battle, Valek faced his former comrades. He fought not out of hate, but out of hope for a better future. In the end, the rebel forces overwhelmed Kraxthar's fleet. The Supreme Leader was captured and brought before the council. The council decided Kraxthar would be held responsible for his crimes but treated fairly. His empire was broken, but its people could choose their own paths. It was a new beginning. Years passed, and the council grew stronger. Trade, culture, and knowledge spread between worlds. the galaxy began to heal. Humans were no longer seen as weak or forgotten. They were leaders, friends, and protectors. Lena and Alara continued to work for peace, always remembering the cost of war. One evening, as the twin suns set on New Earth, Lena spoke softly to Alara. "We have come far, but the journey is just beginning." Alara smiled. "The galaxy will never forget that humanity stood tall when others lived in fear." The stars shone brightly, full of promise. The galaxy was free, because humanity had answered the call.